Well, I like watching corn.
He likes watching it get shucked.
Hashtag corn
Corn
shuckers.
shuckers.
Well, them damn corn shuckers. They at it again.
Corn shuckers.
Now they're shucking in the fields.
Oh my god.
Eat the whole bag at once.
Yeah,
Ooh, daddy.
you gotta press the bottom of the bag and then jam it down your throat. So you're like kind of.
I'm transforming to
Transforming and rolling out.
chocolate chibi.
Dasani, they all kind of sound very
Oh my
similar.
God.
So, you know.
That was
Good work.
Sunny to Sue.
that's a big reach.
Nico Dasani.
Nico Dasani.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. Silver Monkey.
Alright. Burger!
Oh.
Take! Burger!
I'm gonna put cheese on it.
Take!
I'm putting cheese on it.
Doesn't
Ain't
need
that
cheese!
It does need cheese.
Burger!
Take me starter, please.
What's up, Phoenix Squad? Thanks for joining us today. We got a special guest in the house. If you're familiar with the Serious Sam franchise, we have Danny from the Croteam joining us today.
What's up, everyone?
Danny, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I knew we were trying to get this set up before, but you guys had a launch of Serious Sam 4 coming up. So it was getting down to the wire, and I know you guys had to focus all your attention on that. So how did the launch go?
First of all, yeah, I'm very sorry about the canceled kind of slot we had before, but it was just it was absolutely insane as all game launches are, I guess. But yeah, for us, it's been a fun ride. It's been a crazy one, but it's been really fun so far. I think we've nailed it as far as the fans go. They seem to be very into the game, and we're happy with it. The critics, not so much. I guess they maybe they expected something a bit different, so it's kind of polarizing there. But overall, I think we did good. I'm very very happy with it.
Okay, that's good to hear. Let's see. Well, and for those who may not be familiar with Croteam, could you give like a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So Croteam is a game developer from Croatia. It's a small country, but we're rather large developers over here. The entire game dev scene in Croatia has been huge. Croteam has been making games for more than 27 years now, and we're not the first game dev team from Croatia, but we're definitely the longest living one. And yeah, we've worked on various different platforms on various different games. I guess most of your kind of viewers will know us by either Serious Sam or the Talos Principle. Both those series were or are actually really popular even beyond Croatia.
Now, usually when we do our podcast, we kind of go into a little segment about what we've been playing. I know you've been working on Serious Sam 4. Have you had a chance to delve into any other games?
Oh yeah, I always do my best to kind of, because I'm a really passionate gamer, I always do my best to kind of at least play stuff that's most interesting in terms of my kind of stuff that interests me. I try to get some time to play it. I haven't had a chance to play a lot because we're kind of leading up to the release, but once The Last of Us came out, I had to just kind of take a weekend, play through it, and enjoy it a bit. So yeah, I guess that's the last game I played.
Okay, that's awesome sauce. So, Serious Sam 4 dropped on PC and Stadia September 24th,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
Can you tell a little bit about what it was like to work with Google on the Stadia platform?
Oh yeah, Croteam has always been a team that not only does games, but we also do tech. So we're kind of huge tech fans, and whenever
Yeah.
whenever there's something new that's coming up, we want to try it. So it was the same with VR, for instance. A couple of years back when VR was starting up, we've seen it, we wanted to work in it, and we've actually released 5 games in the PC VR space. So it was the same with Stadia. As soon as we kind of saw that there was this huge streaming platform coming up, and it was made by Google of all companies, we decided, okay, this is something that we want to investigate. We want to work in this space. We want to see how it goes. And it's been really good.
Yeah.
I've been pleasantly surprised by the entire platform and by our game on it. I've played different games on it just to kind of check to see where it stands. And it's been really cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure that that kind of geek side in us was really happy about working with it.
Nice. So Serious Sam has a very long-lasting legacy that crosses multiple platforms. What sets Serious Sam 4 apart from its predecessors?
So I don't think there's a lot that sets it apart in terms of pure gameplay, because we always wanted
Uh-huh.
to kind of keep the original formula alive, because back when we released the first encounter in 2001, I think it was just such a different game compared to other FPS shooters in those
Right.
days, because it was all in a huge, bright environment with hordes of enemies coming at you, hordes of simple enemies at that. So we decided to keep that formula, and we've been keeping it throughout our history. So throughout the history of Serious Sam, we've been keeping that exact same formula, and we didn't change it much this time around. So I think in terms of gameplay, Serious Sam 4 doesn't really stand out from other games, from previous games in the series. But where it does stand out is kind of the scale of it. Everything's been scaled up by a lot, and you see huge mobs this time, and you see uh, absolutely huge bosses. Plus, we have a we have an actual story this time, which was penned by
Okay.
some of the writers we've been working with before. So one of the writers from the Talos Principle, which was a really deep philosophical game, was working
Right.
on this game as well. So he and his wife created a story that's kind of fitting to the Serious Sam universe. It's kind of a B movie type of a story. So it's fitting to an action adventure, which Serious Sam is.
Oh, nice. I know you were saying that the Serious Sam, the bosses keeps getting bigger and bigger. You know, things keep getting crazier and crazier. So it's like there's so much insanity in Serious Sam 4, I would guess. Do you feel like you'll ever get to a point where you're like unable to top the craziness?
I don't think so. I mean, right now it may seem um, impossible to do something bigger at this point, but I'm pretty sure our gameplay designers and game designers will figure it out. They'll figure something out. They'll create another crazy part of this adventure,
Yeah,
and I'm pretty
they come
sure
up with something,
as
huh?
long as Croteam exists, every single Serious Sam that we make, and we will be making more, is going to be crazier than the one before.
Oh, nice. Were there any challenges that you came across while you were making Serious Sam 4?
Oh, there were so many. But some of the biggest challenges we've faced were kind of a change in direction that we had a couple times, actually. So back when we first started working on Serious Sam 4, it was a very different game to what you see today. We wanted to kind of expand on the concept of um, figuring out where. So in old school shooter games, you have these keys that you need to pick up in order to progress from each arena. You've seen it in Doom, you've seen it in Serious Sam before, and you've seen it in
Right.
many games. So you wanted to expand on that, and in doing so, we kind of developed those puzzles that were a bit more complicated than they should have been. And in the end, we decided to make an entire new game from it, and that was the Talos Principle. So in essence, the Talos Principle is based on the mechanics that we were creating for Serious Sam, but we figured out, okay, this doesn't really work for Serious Sam. It kills the pacing. It's not the same game, and it's not the same amount of fun that you have. So
Hmm.
we needed to switch to a different, completely different thing after we finished the Talos Principle. So there was this huge switch at that point, and then we needed to kind of figure out, okay, what is Serious Sam? What does make um, what does it take to make a really good Serious Sam game that would fit in to a modern environment and modern kind of gaming space, but at the same time not lose the soul that it always had. So that was a huge challenge for us. We needed to go back. We needed to play our older games again and kind of figure out what we wanted to do with this. We figured it out, and then when we started working on it, there was a different kind of challenge, which was the technology. We wanted to do so much stuff, and we're a really tiny team. So there's 40 of us
Yeah.
in total, which includes, marketing folk and community folk and composer and, various different roles that don't actually develop the game per se. So as a tiny team, we needed to figure out, okay, what can we do in terms of tech that would allow us to do a better game, to make a better game, and release it without kind of losing much in terms of what we wanted to do. So we had to develop our own system for motion capture because we wanted to do all the acting in office. We had to do facial captures as well. So we've done all those different things, which are kind of behind the scenes things, and you don't really see them a lot. We made a new terrain engine technology, which kind of allows us to create levels faster. So it was
Right.
about the tech. The tech was the biggest challenge we faced, I guess, in the development.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned your new terrain engine technology. Is you can give us a little more detail on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So this tech allows us to easily create huge environments and keep them real. So if you play any game with a huge environment, the mountains you see in the background are not actually real. They're usually a background, an image.
Hmm.
And in Serious Sam 4, everything you see on the level actually exists. It's based on that terrain. So if you see a mountain in the background, it's an actual mountain that you can get to. It's
Oh,
also something that's an investment for the future, for our future projects, but we kind of played around with it here. We wanted to create everything as believable as we can. Plus, the terrain tech allows us, when we're creating levels, so when our level designers and level editors come in, they want to make a level with a forest and a hill and a lake and whatever else, they can just use paintbrushes. We call them paintbrushes. So they take a paintbrush which paints forest, and then it procedurally generates forest where they want it. They don't have to place every tree manually to each position. So it kind of gets believable in that sense.
oh, nice. So now, was there anything that you wanted to include in the Serious Sam 4 that you just couldn't squeeze in there?
There's always stuff we play with. There have been some crazy weapons that we wanted to use but couldn't really find the right place for them. And there were some enemies that were really cool as a concept, and they were really cool when you played uh, against them in a prototype phase. They didn't really work in the game, so they had to be scrapped. Again, same with the levels. There were some levels that we were
Right.
creating. It just didn't fit right in. So there's always prototyping and trying different stuff. There's a lot of stuff that has been scrapped because it didn't really make for a better game. And if anything, could possibly make for a worse game if we've included it. But yeah, it's all a part of that process. The game development thing is kind of weird. You always play around with different things. So yeah, there's been a lot that we haven't included because ultimately it wouldn't benefit the project.
Okay, awesome. I know you mentioned VR. You had 5 VR games that you
Yeah,
created.
we made
Um,
4 remakes of our older games. So
okay.
3 Serious Sam games and the Talos Principle were all ported to VR. Plus, we made a VR exclusive in Serious Sam: The Last Hope, which was kind of an arcade style shooter. went really well. We were really happy with it. Had fun making it.
So does that mean we're gonna get to see Serious Sam 4 in VR?
Well, you never know, but for
Yeah.
now, I'm gonna say no because we're focused on making, you know, Series M4 the best PC game it can be. We'll see what happens after that. Plus, we also
Okay.
want to get back to kind of working on the Talos principle, and some of our people have already switched to that project, and they're working hard on making our vision a reality in that project as well. So we've got different ideas. For now, VR is off the list, I guess.
Okay. So you say some of your people have switched to working on Talos Principle,
Yeah.
or is there another Talos Principle 2
So yeah,
that'll be
yeah,
coming out?
we've started prototyping stuff for the Talos Principle too because we always wanted to return to it, and we've actually mentioned that that's our next project. So it's still very early on. It's just prototyping phase. A couple people working on it. Most of us are still focused on kind of supporting Serious Sam 4.
Oh, nice. Are there any other future projects you can let us in on?
I mean, there are a lot. I can't name them, but when I
Uh,
look on my discs or actually on company discs, I see various different games with various different ideas. But it's always kind of weird talking about that because you never know which ones are going to happen, which ones are not.
all right. Well, that was all the questions that I had for Danny. I want to thank you for taking the time out and joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
There's no problem. Do you have any questions for me?
I mean, what are your favorite games? What's your favorite Croteam game if you've played any of them?
Right now, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. I've been getting back to because they're supposed to release a new multiplayer mode like, later on this week.
For Ghost?
So, yeah, so I've been kind of freshening up my skills on it.
Yeah, that's I've played some of it. I haven't played a lot. I just didn't get the time, but it is kind of cool game. I think that in co-op, I guess that's a co-op mode they're making, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's likely going to be very cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. Well, again, Danny, thank you for taking the time out, joining us. I really appreciate it. And you're Remnant Gamer family, so don't be a stranger.
Thanks so much. Anytime.